Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have an excellent game to share with you from Linares, 1997. On the white end, Judit Polgar, playing against Vishy Anand. Alright, on board, Ruy Lopez, bishop kicked, white castles, bishop c5 signals the Neo-Archangel variation. This bad bishop, outside of the pawn chain, very strong, diagonal. White supports d4, bishop kicked, and next up we have d6. Now, in this early stage, it's already very easy to go wrong as black. Wrong would be a routine like castles at this moment. If you castle here, you're going to get overrun in the center. d4 would be there, and you're no longer able to maintain your strong pawn in the center due to the fork. It's going to be removed. So it's important at this stage to either support e5 or at least have the bishop back off to one of these two so d4 doesn't hit as hard. All right, d6 in this game. Follow up a4. There is a threat. That's not the threat. The threat here is to take on b5. We got a pin here, rook b8. And I like this decision, rook b8, rather than, for instance, bishop b7. The rook is defended with bishop b7. b5 is secure with that, but with rook b8, the bishop remains flexible. Maybe b7, maybe g4. You keep your options open. d3. Computer says you could play in an aggressive fashion, d4, but Polgar has a different setup in mind. Now, this may raise a question if you're playing c3 and not following up with d4. I mean, is there any point to c3? There is. The c3 pawn does a good job of neutralizing this knight. It's not really a well-positioned piece. All right, the setup here is with d3, castles only now. A file opened up for white. Rook e1, bishop b6. This is still a possibility. If it's hitting, it's not hitting with tempo. Polgar connects knights, and Anand goes for an attack here. Sort of starts an initiative. f2 sensitive, he goes after it. Knight g4. Defended. King h1 is a consistent follow-up to knight g4. You're out of a pin. Next up, f5. Maybe a third piece will soon be unleashed to f2. Knight is kicked back to the edge. In this case, Anand stays out of the way of the f pawn. Now, there is a line that kicks off with f5. I'm not touching it. Wild continuation, piece sacrifices, and multiple lines. I do include the PGN in the description if you'd like to examine these. Okay, in this one, it's knight h6, knight f1, and f5. Willing to have the kingside broken up. Bishop takes knight is there. You could take the knight straight away, saddle black with the double isolated h pawns, but white first inserts bishop g5. I guess part of the reasoning by inserting bishop g5 first is to have the queen, who goes to e8, now opposite the rook. So, potential issue, maybe, for the queen now, that she's opposite the rook. Bishop takes knight only now. Follow up knight g3. Knight e7 wasn't doing anything on c6, so let's have it contribute, secure this f5 pawn. Follow-up is d4. Now, I want to touch on a different structural change here. In the case of a capture on f5, there'd be knight takes, bishop takes, and if white here tries to do something against this pinned pawn with the d4, this would not be a good idea because there's a shot tactic on h3, 3, problem on f3, overloaded g2 pawn. A strong move here for white is bishop to d5, securing the knight, queen h5. It prefers black here, the two bishops, open position. Okay, we don't see that structure. We don't see the capture here. It is d4 straight away, and now this f pawn is advancing. Knight moves forward, knight takes, pawn takes, and e4. This is not a threat just yet. Got that pin. Knight d2, still. Bishop takes pawn, knight takes e4, and no bishop captures knight here. Instead, we have queen g6. This is one of the top moves. If the knight is picked up, white would reply with f3, and you will get this bishop back shortly. What might this look like if we play a few more moves into this line? d5, and not bishop captures pawn here. If bishop captures pawn, you could take the bishop, give up the queen. We'd be looking at a rook and two bishops versus queen imbalance there. This is the sequence the computer has its eye on, influencing this pawn here. Wants to go for f3 in this position. Getting this passed pawn. There's a wonderful parking spot for the bishop there on f3. Anyhow, not a path we go down. Anand does not bite on e4, maintains the two bishops, we might say. Queen g6 in this game. This is a nice double attack. Now this is on, and so is this one. There's a pin. Knight secure, bishop takes h3. This is not a winning position. This is still hovering around equal. Neither king feeling the greatest. The white king, though, if you had to throw each king under the microscope, it's probably the white king that feels a bit more uneasy. And I say this with an eye on the two bishops. This is sort of the strength with the two bishops. Is the king ever going to feel comfortable on any one particular color complex? Not with these two around. The black king, on the other hand, corner square looking pretty healthy. This bishop's not getting at it. This knight's not really within reach. Okay, from here we have queen d2, rook on b to e8, rook on a to e1, and rook e7. From here, king f1 is played. Now, how the computer wants to play it, it says move in this direction with the king, unpin. The bishop retreats. From there, it's kind of awkward to play in that way. I mean, there's a check you're asking for one day on the H file. Polgar has a different idea in mind. Pretty much evacuate the king side. She's going to try to make a run for it towards the queen side. Anand's going to interfere with that, as we will see. All right, in this game, it is king f1, rook g7. Okay, let me just point out, king f1, now this is a threat. Rook g7, bishop poison, queen g1 would be mate. Pop quiz, what move would you play here? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, white plays rook f2 here, and black is considered winning. The best move, the only move that keeps white in the game, keeps a around -1 eval, is knight f6. Very difficult to come up with this move, I would say. Now, let me first point out what would be a bad reaction by black to this move. Rook captures knight. Rook e8 would be there, and there's a problem here. This bishop watching over g8, white would be winning. Here's the top response to knight f6 if that was played. Queen takes knight. Now you could take the bishop, no mate, no queen g1 here, But there is queen h4, and this is how the computer wants to run it. Rook g2, allow this pawn to be picked up, and then unpin your rook. It's a good thing in this position. Rook f to g8 is not a thing. That's considered top. This looks very scary for white playing like this, but we do have a case of an opposite color bishop position. Also, a more active bishop for white, I would say. This one here just kind of biting on a rock. Okay, very difficult, I would say, to come up with that. We do not see knight to f6. It is rook f2. Now this is on. Queen g1 would no longer be mate. King's ready to run, so the bishop finds safe ground. d7 is a perfect square, really. Maybe it comes out on this diagonal. A nice defensive role against back rank moves. All right. Bishop c2, queen no longer comfortable. h5, the new home. King e2, another pop quiz. What is your move here? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, the king making a run for it. But with this next move, b4, Anand says not so fast. This fifth rank is opened up for the queen. Maybe the queen goes to b5 or a5 too. Very nice possibilities. The king does not feel comfortable. Now, from here we have king d1. What about the capture on b4, as ugly as this looks? There's maybe a check. You could also target the newly weakened d4 pawn straight away. That is grabbing my attention most here, going right after the d4 pawn. This bishop, its presence would now be felt if white's taking away from the center like this. Also, if this pawn advances, there's a really interesting sequence here. Available to black would be b3 with the point bishop a5. Queen's defending, bishop landing a skewer, and if you don't want to lose material, you go into this pin. This here is not a comfortable position at all for team white. I'm drawing all these lines because this king is pretty much caught in the middle. There is no, you could pick this king up, put it wherever you want. It's just never going to feel safe. All right. We do not see the push. It's king d1, b takes c, b takes c, bishop e8. Computer's noting move over here with the queen straight away. All right, we have a different move, a reposition for the bishop. Rook on 2 to f1, queen a5 only now. Rook h1, h5. Bishop's there. Hanging onto the pawn, this can be a very nice post very soon for that light square bishop. Follow up knight f6, another pop quiz. Final one. What's your move here? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, the top move in the game, queen a1 check. We'll see how it plays out from there soon enough. If you take the knight, there would be rook captures bishop, rook block, queen d3. It says in that position white is winning. Problem there for black. All right, we have in this game queen a1 check, and the response is queen c1. King e2 runs into rook g2 check. So the queen blocks, and now the only winning path, the move in the game. Queen captures c3, giving up the bishop. From here, it's knight captures bishop. If rook captures bishop, you exchange and then continue just like in the game. So let's see what this is. After knight captures bishop, the final move of this one, rook captures g2. Polgar resigns. This rook position is deadly. What are you supposed to do? There are multiple threats. Queen captures pawn check. All white would have our blocks, and you scoop up the pieces, leading to checkmate. There's also queen captures f3. What do you do about that? Rook block, you take the rook for checkmate. The only move to prevent a checkmate in 3 from here is rook e2. Also note queen captures pawn. This covers these two, but queen captures bishop would be checkmate. Rook e2 is considered the best way here, and there would be queen captures f3 in this position. You're in a pin here. If queen here, you could capture on e2, capture on h1 next. Also, queen here, there's rook captures knight. You're spoiled for choice. And this is a funny one. In the case of rook here, bishop here is considered a top move, one of the top moves. Plenty of ways to convert it from here. This rook on the second rank, far too strong. Anyhow, your thoughts with this one, feel free as usual to leave any feedback to this video in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care.